We're going to be doing a blind taste test. So we're gonna go ahead and shuffle these around a little bit. All right, I have no idea which is which here. Juicy and cut well. Ooh, we got some acidity there. That is a darn good tomato. I'm disappointed in that. I thought there was gonna be some more flavor there. Are we gonna get a 5 out of this? I don't know. That's a very low acid tomato. That is the summer flavor that I know and love. Possibly my favorite tomato right here. There's 2 varieties that are the standout winners. Time for the big reveal. Let's find out what each one of these are. Welcome to Wishwell Farms, everybody. My name's Jason, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a blind taste test of 11 different varieties of tomatoes that we grew on our farm in 2025. Now, right before I sat down here and placed these tomatoes on the plates, I was down in my field harvesting all 11 varieties directly off the vines. Red Deuce, Rambler, Red Snapper, Carolina Gold, Maverick, Wind Up, Skyway 687, STM 2255, Roadster, Wonder Star Red, Wonder Star Pink. All right, now that you know the 11 different varieties of tomatoes that are sitting on the table in front of me, here's how we're gonna do this. Currently, each tomato has the name of the variety written in magic marker at the top of the tomato. So I didn't get them mixed up in the box while I was picking. So I am going to write the name of each tomato on the bottom of each plate. Then I'm going to slice the tomatoes up and have 1 slice of each tomato on each plate ready for tasting. And then I'm going to shuffle the plates around on the table so it will be a blind taste test and I won't know which variety is which. If you happen to be wondering why I grow 11 different varieties of tomatoes on my farm, it's because I always grow about 4, 5, or 6 good standby tomatoes that I know are always going to perform well for me. And I like to trial 2 or 3 or 4 new varieties each year because you never know when you're gonna find a better tomato. I wanna taste each one of them and share with you my thoughts. We're gonna rate them on a scale of 1 through 5. You know, the overall flavor of the tomato, maybe some characteristics of what the inside looks like, and the juiciness, the texture, and all that kind of stuff. And stay tuned to the very end, because I'm going to reveal my top 3 varieties that not only tasted the best to me, but that I liked in the field the best. It had the best plant health, had the biggest tomatoes and the best yields, and that I will definitely be planting next year. And also, I have 1 bonus tomato here, tomato number 12, that I will reveal what it is and where it came from at the very end. All right, time to get cutting. This first one is Wind Up. Looks very nice. Next, STM 2255. Beautiful. Roadster. Very nice. Wonderland Red. Red Snapper. Skyway 687, Rambler, Maverick, Red Deuce, Wonderland Pink, and finally, Carolina Gold. All right, all 11 varieties are sliced up and ready for tasting. So we're gonna go ahead and shuffle these around a little bit, mix them up. Obviously, I'm going to know which one the Carolina Gold is. Nothing I can really do about that unless I was actually blindfolded, right? All right, I have no idea which is which here. Let's get them all lined back up and let's start tasting. So the way I think I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna go around and do an initial tasting of each variety and share a few thoughts about what I see and what I'm tasting. And then I'm going to set aside my 3 or 4 favorite, and we're gonna go back and taste them a second time. All right, let's dive in. I'm gonna start right here. I have no clue which variety is which. Oh wow, it's very tender. Very juicy, no mealy or grainy texture, and a lot of tomato flavor. Now, the first thing I'm noticing about this tomato is that it might have been a little bit less ripe than some of the other ones. It doesn't have a really dark orange on one side. It's a little pinker inside, and I can tell by when I'm cutting it that it's a little firmer. And the skin is a little tougher. Not as sweet, not really more acidic. This one just had a deeper richness to it compared to this one. All right, now, yes, this is supposed to be a blind taste test, but I can tell which this one is right here because it has a different look to it. This is that Wonderland pink. And I'm guessing it is a little bit overripe. It's very soft and mushy feeling as I'm cutting it. I had trouble finding one that was not rotten. They've kind of run their course. Yes, I can tell that it's a little bit overripe, but very good tomato flavor. Nothing that's making it stand apart from these though. All right, up here next in the corner, it cut very nice. It's very juicy and tender. Bland. Bland and watery. Not very much rich tomato taste on that one. So if I had to give a number rating right now, so far, this one's the standard to go by. This one's a 5, and this one's our 1. So I'm gonna push that one aside. I don't want any more of that one. Man, I hope that's not one of my favorite varieties that I'd like in the field. That would be horrible. What if that is one of my tomatoes that had the best plant health and the biggest tomatoes? That's gonna be terrible. We'll find out soon. All right, moving on. Not as good as this one. I would say it's a 2 or 3. That one's a little bit of a watered down flavor as well. And looking at the texture, it looks a little, even though the tomato is firm, the texture is kind of weird looking inside. You probably won't be able to see it on a GoPro camera. It almost looks like it's going to be mealy or something, but it's not. It's a very firm tomato. Just a very odd texture inside. All right, now this one looks beautiful inside. That's a very nice tomato. It's looks beautiful inside. It cut nice. It looks nice. Moving it aside, watered down, kind of bland. Now, I probably should mention that it is mid-September, and the patch of tomatoes that I was picking off of, as you saw while I was picking, they are mostly dead. The plants are dying. They have some late blight, and they've run their course. They are just nearing the end of their production cycle, and we're already moving into our next patch, our planting number 2, where the plant health is a lot better. There's a lot more green leaves. So that could affect the tomato flavor by picking these off half-dead plants. So I did want to mention that. All right, moving on. This tomato looks beautiful. By the way, that one I just had over there, another number 1 or 2. All 3 of these over here in the corner. Not liking those so far. That one cut beautiful. It looks amazing, a dark, deep red color. Better, but still not as good as these up front. I would rank that as maybe a 3, kind of neutral on that one. I'm not noticing a really sweet taste like I was expecting. I think this one might have been the sweetest. I'm looking forward to going back to these 3 down here. All right, moving on to the next one. This was a little bit of a smaller tomato. I had trouble finding a big one. I was trying to find a tomato in each variety that was about the same size. Definitely not over impressed. We're gonna leave that one in the middle. I'm kind of neutral on that one. We'll call it a 3. All right, we're almost to the end here, just 3 more. This one's a very meaty looking tomato. Juicy and cut well. Ooh. We got some acidity there. So, more tomato flavor than the ones up here at the top of the table. And a little more acidity. Not a whole lot of deep, mellow sweetness. I'm not sure how else to explain that. But this one's going to be in the running for the final. For the second tasting. All right, I'm going to save this Carolina Gold for last. All right, what do we got here? This is a big boy. That's a very nice, meaty tomato. Oh, it cuts really nice. I sure hope it tastes as good as it looks. And the skin is not cutting for me really well. There we go. Unfortunately, that one is a 1 or a 2. Kind of watered down, not full of tomato flavor. Wow. So that one's going up here to the top with the rest of the 1s and the 2s. Okay, Carolina Gold. We'll see how the yellow tomato compares to the reds. Yellow tomatoes are known for lower acidity, so let's see. Yeah, not a lot of flavor there. It tastes similar to these up here that I rated number 1 or 2. I'm a little disappointed in that. I thought there was going to be some more flavor there. Yeah, nothing out of this world, that's for sure. All right. We're going to do a second tasting of these 4 down here. I'm going to rank them between 3 and 5 because they were all above these other ones that I ranked at a 1 or 2. And then we're going to reveal what all these are. All right, this is the very first one I tasted. We're going to save it for last. All right, let's dive into this Wonder Star Pink first. Man, I don't know how to explain the flavor. Almost, I don't know if it's because it's overripe. I mean, it only had one little bad spot on one side. So I don't think I'm eating any of the bad part of the tomato. It almost just has like a musky, old flavor to it. Not really, I don't know how to explain it. It's really good, it's unique. And maybe it's because it kind of looks like one of those heirloom tomatoes. You know, that could be the reason it has a different flavor than all these other ones. It's not bad, but I don't think it's my favorite. We're gonna rank it at a 4. All right, let's see what we got here. Beautiful texture. One thing I haven't talked about is what the locules look like. That's like the little spaces and gaps with the seeds and like the gooey part of the tomato. This one's a very meaty tomato. This is the high acidity tomato. I'm gonna write that on the plate. High acid, not sweet. So I don't taste a lot of sweet tomato flavor in that one, but very acidic. All right, our final 2 here. Are we gonna get a 5 out of this? I don't know. Or are they all gonna be 3s and 4s? This is the one that is very solid that I wasn't sure was completely ripe. So maybe I should have picked a different one. Yeah, it's not sweet. That one's sticking at a 3. And it could be because it's not real ripe. This one might be the winner. Let's see if I still have the same feelings about it here at the very end. Now, this tomato wasn't very large, and as I'm looking at it, I don't want to see the bottom of the tomato yet. Look at the locules. See how the locules are just around the outside, and the rest of it is all meat. It's a very meaty tomato. just like I remembered in the beginning. Mellow. No acid. That's a very low acid tomato. I gotta write that down. That's the lowest acid. I still don't feel like I had a 5 here today though. And I think that's because summer has peaked and the best of summer is gone. We're now moving into late summer, early fall. And with all the plants dying, you know, the tomatoes just don't have that peak summer flavor like they may have 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I wish I would have done this about a month ago when they were first ripening, but it is what it is. I'm just glad I was able to do this before the end of the season when there was no tomatoes left on the vines to taste at all. I just thought of one more thing I want to do before I reveal what all these tomato varieties are. I brought some salt and pepper out. That can make a little bit of a difference. So I'm going to go around and salt all these really quick, and I'm going to taste them all again real quick. I'll do it off camera, and I'll come back and I'll let you know if I had any differing opinions about the flavors of maybe the ones that I only rated as a 1 or a 2. And a dash of pepper. I love pepper and salt on my tomatoes. So maybe that'll bring out some of the flavor. Oh, what the heck, I'll run the camera and I'll taste them all again with salt and pepper. That is a darn good tomato. This is the one I said high acid, not sweet. But when I add salt and pepper, that is the summer flavor that I know and love from a field-grown tomato right there. I cannot wait to find out what that one is. Wonderland Pink. Wow. Yeah, now I would rank these at a 5. Those are good. Here's the one I did like earlier quite a bit. Let's see what it's like with salt and pepper. 3.5 to 4. So it's probably still one of my favorites. But these two are my favorites so far. Let's try the yellow one. You know, if you put enough salt and pepper on any tomato, it really helps it taste better. I'm not good at describing the different flavors that I'm tasting. There's something good about this one, but there's also something kind of odd about it, and I'm not sure if I like that, but it's not bad. These are the ones that I ranked kind of neutral, about a 3. I don't really like that one. This is the one that wasn't quite ripe. Yeah. I don't like that tomato at all. That's terrible. All right. Real quick on the 4 that I rated kind of watery and bland and flavorless. And then we are going to reveal what they all are. I'm starting to get a little tired of eating tomatoes. They're all decent, but nothing that's like exploding with the wonderful garden tomato flavor that we all know and love. Okay, this one tastes very sweet. This one's moving up. Sweet. Salt and pepper made this one go up to a number 4 in my mind. That's good. Now I kind of wish that I could taste it again without salt and pepper on it. Two or 3. All right, it's time for the big reveal. Let's find out what each one of these are. Possibly my favorite tomato right here. Rambler. Wow. So, I got my list right here. My spreadsheet with all of my varieties on it right here. And I wrote taste test along the column on the far left there. We're gonna give Rambler a 5. The lowest acid one that was decent, probably a 4. Red Snapper. We're gonna give it a 4. We already know that's Carolina Gold. We're gonna move these out of the way now. And this one was high acid, not sweet. Wonderland Red. And we know this was Wonderland Pink. Probably 2 varieties I won't be growing again. Those 2 were the trial seeds that I got from Pan American seeds. All right, and then the 3 that were kind of in the neutral zone, around 3, just kind of an average tasting tomato. Skyway 687. Wind Up. And Maverick. Okay, now for the 3 that I thought were kind of bland and watery. And I'm afraid that at least 1 or 2 of these are going to make my top 3 favorite list from what I saw growing in the field. Roadster. That is a large tomato. Red Deuce and STM 2255. That is not what I wanted to see. I haven't grown Red Deuce in years. I just tried it this year because a lot of Amish growers up the road grow this one, and a couple other farmers that I know grow this one. So yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that. I'm very upset that this is STM 2255 and Red Snapper. Yeah, just kind of average. I think the STM 2255 is the better one of these 3. So I'm glad to see that because that was one of my favorite large tomatoes out in the field. So a 3 for STM 2255 and a 2 for Red Deuce. And what was this one? Roadster. Okay, got them all rated. All right, as promised, at the end of the video, I was going to reveal what this secret tomato is right here. This tomato was grown in my greenhouse in coconut core bags hydroponically. And they were also damaged by some chemical drift early in the spring that almost killed the plants, but they made a comeback. This is Red Deuce. So yes, I already had a Red Deuce over here, but this was the greenhouse grown Red Deuce. Let's check it out. First initial impressions. It's not quite as deep, dark red as some of the other ones that were grown in the soil out in the field. Let's see how it tastes. It's very firm, but it cut good. It actually has decent acidity and decent flavor. A little bit of salt and pepper. Let's see what we got. I think I got to rank it at least a 3 or 4. So I would say the Red Deuce grown hydroponically in coconut core bags that was damaged by 2,4-D chemical herbicide drift from a neighboring soybean field back in April, I think. The water has been turned off in the greenhouse for over a month because I'm trying to kill all the tomatoes so I can clean out my greenhouses, and it is still as good or better than half of the tomatoes that I just picked out of my field that are soil grown. That's very interesting. All right, before we wrap up this video, I'm gonna share with you my 3 or 4 favorite varieties that not only tasted the best, but also looked the best in the field as far as plant health, that stayed green the longest and wasn't as susceptible to getting blight, that had the largest size, the prettiest tomatoes, and the biggest yields. There's 2 varieties that are the standout winners of both the taste test and the way they did in the field, the way they performed in the field. And that is Rambler and Red Snapper. So I will definitely be planting both of those varieties next year. There are 2 varieties that didn't make the cut on the table, but I'm willing to give them another try in the field because of how amazing that they looked out in the field during harvest with the plant health and the size and the yield. And that is STM 2255 and Skyway 687. So there you have it, folks. Those are my 4 varieties that made the cut today that will be getting planted again on my farm in 2026. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments, just drop them down below. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all again next time down on the farm.